Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our MISAT Bulletin, and we shall start with our headlines. Ceasefire holds after day of intense Israel-Hamas fighting. Iraq police fire in air as protesters try to storm Basra government building. And moving on to our details, starting with the Middle East crisis. The Israeli military lifted its restrictions along the Gaza border on Sunday, indicating it had accepted an Egyptian-mediated ceasefire that ended a 24-hour round of fighting with Hamas militants. On Saturday, the military carried out its largest wave of airstrikes in Gaza since the 2014 war, in which 2 Palestinian teenagers were killed, while 4 Israelis were wounded. The military also said several mortar shells were fired even after Hamas announced the ceasefire. On the other hand, Hamas police announced an explosion on Sunday at a house in Gaza City that killed a father and a son, aged 35 and 13. Onto the Syrian profile, Syrian government forces widened their offensive in the country's southwest on Sunday to Qunayt province, a region adjoining the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights and rebel subjects, which they believe to be Russian, bombed an opposition-held village in Qunayt province in the first such aerial strike in around a year. The observatory added that forces had seized the village of Mashra, about 11 kilometers from the Golan frontier, after heavy shelling, and were now trying to capture elevated land south of the village with shelling and airstrikes. In Iraq, Iraqi police fired in the air to disperse hundreds of protesters who tried to storm a government building in Basra and demonstrated near an oil field, wounding 48 people in unrest over poor services that has swept southern cities. An official from the Interior Minister's Rapid Response Forces said some protesters tried to break into the building, but we prevented them. We asked protesters to avoid facing off with security forces. He also said a total of 28 members of the security forces were wounded in clashes with demonstrators. From another aspect, local officials said demonstrations have not affected crude production in Basra. On to Afghanistan, an apparent suicide attack close to a government ministry in the Afghan capital Kabul on Sunday killed at least 5 people as the staff were leaving the office in the evening rush hour. A police spokesman said the explosion was believed to have been caused by a suicide attacker, but had no further details. Moreover, the spokesman at the Ministry of Rural Rehabilitation and Development confirmed the attack had happened and said initial information suggested that at least 5 people had been killed. Earlier on Sunday, the United Nations reported a 22% jump in civilian death casualties from suicide attacks during the first half of the year. In Islamabad, Pakistanis are observing a day of mourning for the victims of the horrific weekend attacks that killed 132 people, including a provincial assembly candidate during an election rally in the country's southwest. Friday's suicide bombing in Maston district took place as the Balochistan Awami Party's candidate Siraj Raisani was holding a rally. That attack killed 128. Another suicide bombing on Friday struck an election campaign convoy in northwestern Pakistan, killing 4. Black flags of mourning were hoisted at Balochistan Awami Party's offices, and residents displayed banners denouncing the massacre. Noteworthy that so far more than 150 people have died in election-related attacks. And going to the migration profile, Germany says it will take 50 of the 450 migrants rescued from a fishing boat in the Mediterranean Sea. In a statement on Sunday, the German government said with a view to the ongoing talks about greater bilateral cooperation on asylum, Germany is prepared to take in 50 people in this case. From another perspective, France and Malta have also agreed to take in about 100 migrants from the ship. It's worth mentioning that Italy had put out a call for help to other European Union countries to share the burden of taking in migrants. On the other side of the world, British Prime Minister Theresa May warned her divided party on Sunday that there may be no Brexit at all if they wrecked her plan to forge a close relationship with the European Union after leaving the world's biggest trading bloc. May said, "My message to the country this weekend is simple. We need to keep our eyes on the prize. If we don't, we risk ending up with no Brexit at all." With less than 9 months to go before the United Kingdom is due to leave the EU on March 29, 2019, the countries, the political elite and business leaders are still deeply divided over what form Brexit should take. And finally, President Donald Trump advised British Prime Minister Theresa May to sue the European Union in the tense negotiations over Britain's exit from the bloc. The American president told reporters on Friday at a joint press conference with May that he had given the British leader a suggestion that she found too brutal. Asked on Sunday on the BBC what that suggestion was, May said, "He told me I should sue the EU, not go into negotiation, sue them." She added what the president also said at that press conference was, "Don't walk away. Don't walk away from the negotiations, then you are stuck." And before ending our news, let's take another look at the most important headlines for today. Ceasefire holds after day of intense Israel-Hamas fighting. Iraq police fire in air as protesters try to storm Basra government building. And we reached the end of our Missad Bulletin for today. Thank you for joining us and see you tomorrow in a new bulletin.